Chelsea came firing back and convincingly beat Aston Villa 3-1 at Villa Park to reach the FA Cup 5th round. With Aston Villa being as high as 4th this season, Chelsea did a real good job at dominating the game, and some of their players were on absolute fire, and namely the main man of the game was Enzo Fernandez. But how have Chelsea finally figured out a way to get Enzo Fernandez playing to his best ability? Now for Chelsea, the last week has been smoked by a lot of rumours in the club, with a lot of players not being happy with their long contracts, and namely Enzo Fernandez apparently wanting to leave. Now reports came out today saying that he doesn't want to leave and it's all fake news, which is fair enough, and he definitely shut up the rumours with a brilliant performance, probably his best performance for Chelsea in a big game in the FA Cup. While there was a lot of good performances for Chelsea and they really dominated Aston Villa for the full 90 minutes, I think everything ran through Enzo in this game, and I think this is really the role he has to be playing in the future for Chelsea. Now Chelsea were very brave in this game. Aston Villa usually press and build up with a 4-2-4 system. This means their wing backs can get really high up the pitch and their two midfielders have to do a lot of work to get around the midfield. However, it gives them a lot of options going forward, with people coming in narrow and deep, and while Watkins will run on the other side trying to look for that over the top through ball. Now Chelsea are better against teams that really do try and score against them quite easily, and this was another example of that performance by they using their 4-4-2 press again, which worked really well against Arsenal and Liverpool. This means Cole Palmer and Gallagher would actually be the two main pressers. Their job was to try and get Aston Villa to press or pass the ball into a corner, while Madueke, Caicedo, Enzo and Jackson would be a bit deeper trying to block the pass and runs for the midfield. And when Aston Villa did try to play it through the middle or Chelsea had the ball, Gallagher and Enzo would come back to try and defend as DMs, while Caicedo would often help the defenders in centre-back. This meant Madueke, Jackson and Palmer basically tried to suffocate the other team, getting quite narrow to their players. And in possession, they actually had a lot of freedom because Enzo would often come deep with Caicedo to give them more space back there. This wouldn't always work because sometimes Gallagher would also come deep, which means they didn't have enough space going forward, and sometimes Enzo himself would not do that, but when he did, it was very important for the team. His brilliant passing made it very easy to get passing lanes open and very much to get the ball up the pitch. But overall, Chelsea's press prevented Villa from getting rhythm. It often made things mess up and they would often be quite physical in the challenge. Sometimes they wouldn't necessarily get the ball, but it kind of ruined Aston Villa's flow going into the game, and every time they tried to pass it in the midfield, it would be very much hard for them to keep the ball, because when Enzo was deep, it was very important. He's a great defender of the ball and really good at tracking runners, so he often stood in the right positions when he was deeper, and when it's harder to get past Enzo, it would be a lot harder for the team to get through to the defence. And often Chelsea worked really well also out of possession to stop Aston Villa really getting into their 3-2-5 shape that they like. This obviously creates a lot of width with your wing backs getting up the pitch, and they often stopped this happening. They were very aggressive and made sure they usually cut down the lanes to the left and right to keep Aston Villa off getting into the transition quicker. Caicedo and Enzo also worked really well in this game, going towards players separately and also picking their fight, as they had a lot of space in that midfield because Aston Villa had two players usually on the two attacking players. As you can see, they could have a lot of space to get in behind from the wings as well. But the main thing in this game why Enzo was so good is because he was finally playing as a defensive deep line playmaker. He finally did the defensive numbers that they need him to, and he didn't get pushed up in cam or up front. He made around 4 recoveries, 4 defensive actions, and he only got dribble past once, and he was very comfortable in defence. This is important because he can still attack, because he is still decent going forward. It's better for him to attack into the final third to do passes for the other team when Chelsea are breaking, and because they didn't let Villa really get much control or much composure on the team, Villa couldn't get into their right flow, and Chelsea were very smart to go quite gung-ho in this game and just go and try and force the issue. And the common thing that kept happening in this game is that Douglas Luiz and Kamara would try and get through the midfield. They would often get past maybe Palmer or Gallagher a bit further up, but they would run straight into Caicedo and Enzo. This often meant Caicedo and Enzo won the ball back pretty easily because they doubled up on one of them or worked together to get the ball back, stopping it going out wide in the meantime. And then as soon as Enzo and Caicedo can get the ball forward, there is so much space for Palmer, Jackson who's running in from the left, Gallagher and Madueke from the right to get into a goal scoring or shooting opportunity, and this kept happening all in the first half. Now Gallagher also had a great game. He did very much off the ball, he's brilliant, but he did very much good to push people into that Caicedo and Enzo problem while also winning the ball back a decent amount himself. And with this pressure that they kept having, this also allowed people like Gusto to get very much forward down the right, which we saw a few times as well. And with the fact that Moreno and Cash, the two fullbacks, push up, Chelsea actually countered that and used that against them to get the space within behind, and obviously used that very well, scoring both their goals from the wing in the first half. And one of the main issues that Enzo's had at Chelsea is that he does struggle to recover defensively over distance, and considering he is really good defensively, Chelsea have been playing way too much forward. And this game he finally worked with Caicedo in a defensive position and was able to win the ball back threat many times, while going up on the counter-attack to give them more space up front or give them more players, which made sense. Because I understand that he is very good going forward, but people like Gallagher, who are much better off the ball and can get into good positions and even score good goals, we saw the goal he scored today, makes more sense to be pressing and pushing forward. And when you have got someone like Caicedo there who really likes to double pivot as well as Enzo, it works together, and it should work together, and it did today. And the brilliant thing about Enzo, he is an anomaly on the pitch. There's a reason why they spent so much money on him. He can genuinely pick the ball up and ping a ball anywhere on the pitch so easily, and there was a lot of times that Chelsea would actually build up with him being the main person on the ball and then him finding a brilliant ball out wide or in the middle, and this would give them a lot more space, and I think it'd be like a 4-on-4 at attack. This is obviously a very high risk play, but you want someone like this and this good at passing on the ball all the time, and he had 5 out of 5 accurate long passes in this game and passed it into the final third twice, having 62 touches overall, which is very impressive. And with an XG of 0.26 from a deep line playmaker, it shows how good his passing is and that everything should go through him if Chelsea are wanting to attack in the future, but not go through him in an attacking role. He needs to be in that defensive role still in header Caicedo, not the full deepest DM, but I'd still want him defending more than I want him up the pitch. I think Gallagher in that attacking midfield role is a much better option, or Palmer, whoever you want to play there. And overall, I actually liked the Chelsea system. There's definitely flaws in it, but I think this game worked much better. They actually played Palmer more in that striker role than Jackson, and because Jackson's a lot quicker, he played on that left side and he actually had a lot of space and a lot of freedom there, and actually did good work out in that wing, while Palmer is the main presser for the team, much better presser than Jackson, did really well trying to close them oppositions down, with Gallagher, who's obviously brilliant off the ball. We all know this. And when talking about quality, there's also so much more about the game. Enzo Fernandez obviously got the third goal, which was a brilliant goal. The free kick 25 yards out, puts it top corner, keeper gets a touch but can't save it. The fact your deep line playmaker is doing that as well shows the ability that this guy has. He simply needs to have the ball more than most people on his team, needs to have one of the most touches and needs to be trusted with doing long passes through, while also staying deep to defend with Caicedo and work with him, rather than going forward and being lost, not being able to return and get back for the ball to tackle. And fair play, he's not really shown something like that before since at Chelsea, but his much better performance clearly gave him a lot more confidence, and that's why he put it into the back of the net. He gets his shirt out after, you know what, fair play after that performance against a very good Villa side. Considering Chelsea are 11th in the league and Aston Villa are 4th, this was a very impressive win when Villa had a very strong team out. And maybe Pochettino is starting to figure out a way to get this Chelsea team to work. The most important part of the team is the midfield, because that's what links the defence and the attack together, and that's the struggle that Chelsea have been having a lot recently, because we all know they have good players going forward and all around the pitch. They just need it tactically to work. And with Chelsea's league season basically being over, these games are more important than ever. They've got Carabao Cup final coming up. They've also got FA Cup 5th round, where they've got to another round. I think that's the most important thing for this team. Look forward to them results at least. Let me know what you guys think about Enzo Fernandez for Chelsea and Pochettino's recent tactics, and do you think this is a turning point for Chelsea? Thank you guys for watching. If you like my videos, I'd recommend my video about Rafael Leao, but if not, I'll see you in the next one.